Hello. Crikey, it's not the best lighting, is it? But it'll have to do. I was just thinking about, well, I wasn't really, I just had a ka-ching moment where I just realised, isn't it interesting how all the stuff that I've said on, sorry, my voice wants to go now, all the things that I've been saying publicly now since, well, to a wider audience with the Basis interviews and on my channel for about 3 years now. And I have said a lot about my family, like from, like my grandfather's job and stuff. And so I find it really interesting how my mother's freaked out when I've mentioned implants, and the chopper aspect as well. But really, it's the implants which is like clearly like struck the biggest chord, Obviously, when she wrote me the messages which I've like posted beneath some videos recently, and she was saying what she said in them, it was a warning, it literally was just that simple. Basically, if I'm not careful, I'm going to end up getting killed. But I already knew that, so I mean, I could see it as quite sweet that she's like warned me, or I could see it as a threat, like a direct threat, not like from, just from like from everyone. Anyhow, yeah, back to the implants. It's definitely interesting, isn't it, how that's been like what appears to have like tipped the balance to what's happened. But I think it's a little bit more than that. The other night, the night before the chopper happened, an alarm was going off in town and I filmed it. But I started pointing out like there's like a mapping system of lights which happen at night time. And I started pointing them out on this video that I took in the middle of the night at about 3 a.m. or something daft. And also, though, I've talked about this before in other videos, but I've never been in the kind of perspective where you can start pointing them out like you can from my roof. So I think that's like probably a bit of a problem. I realised that because it was the night after that the chopper incident happened. And I was thinking it can't just be the energy thing in the park, because anyone who doesn't know about energies already would just pass it off as nuts. I thought it's something more than that, but I didn't twig straight away until I realised, and I thought, oh my god, you posted that video, and I thought, what's in that video? You've got to just check to see, because apart from the alarm, which is really annoying in the first half, the second half, I think I've like accidentally like said things I shouldn't have said, innocently, because I didn't really know that I was doing it. I was just pointing out things I've noticed. Yeah, I feel like my head's in a pressure cooker now. Like, it's not in a pressure cooker. If you were diving under really, under the pressure of the water, if you're doing proper deep diving, or if you've got like the bends and one of those decompression tanks, that's how it feels when it feels awful. But pushing through that, interesting, isn't it? I talk about implants and that being the tipping point, which is like, really, really aggravated. And they switched them on. I tell you what I noticed earlier this week, and my friend's brother came and stayed a few days and took him up on a walk where the adrenal initiation right at thingamajiggy is. And oh sorry, my face is all itchy. And he had his short torch with him, and it's really pitch black up there. There is probably points, well, if you don't know it, then I can see why he brought a torch with him. But we hadn't gone up in the pitch black. We'd gone up kind of like early evening, and what I noticed was every time he put his torch on, the light was dazzling me, so I couldn't see a thing. So in the end, I was like, well, if you have got to use your torch, let me go like 20 foot in front of you so that you could shine it on the ground and I can still see where I'm going without being poisoned by this torchlight. Dazzling me, it was blinding me. Anyhow, so that was what was happening, but it wasn't really working because I keep stopping to like point out things or look at things. So in the end, and then it like twigged and I was thinking, this is crazy. The false light is blinding me. The false light was blinding. The torchlight, the false light was blinding. Anyway, then I was thinking about like numbing your senses and how most of us, our senses are so numb because if it gets a bit dark, we switch on a light. I've got a light in here now because otherwise I can't film. You know, I've always hated lights on in rooms. And the reason why I could have that with no light bulb for so long is because I don't ever really use those lights. Unless I'm filming and then it's like, oh, I don't like it, you know. I don't even really like the light from the computer very much. But I've never had it highlighted to me like so clearly as what it was that night. How the difference between looking at something in the dark but seeing where you're going and having the false light shining on it was blinding me. And how many people, such as this like man, rely on the light, the false light, and how much that resembles life and the con we live, where you've got the true light of Christ and then you've got the false light, and the false lights try and dazzle you away from the true light. And it was just so real, because it is so real, and surreal. It was really trippy. Anyhow, it was really cool because in the end I took the torch off him and I said, you've got to trust, and your senses are being, like, literally being killed by all this false stuff. You know, earplugs, torches, TV, noise, air freshener. All of us, you know, we're constantly bombarded with so many ways to numb ourselves, all of our senses, you know. And the more that you like wake properly, each time you're like healing more, I think it like you go through these like amazing moments of real clarity, and all your senses sharpen up, and everything's so much more alive and vivid. And then it stays like that, and you get used to it like that. And each more you heal, every time you heal a bit more, everything gets a bit more and more clear, which is why you see more and more and hear more and more. Everything gets so much fuller. You know, like you see more of the picture, more of the like whole picture, and not just little pieces. You know, and so it was just really lovely, and it was also very relevant because we went up to the Druidic initiation passage rite thing, and obviously didn't do anything like that. But the fact that it was the opposite that we did, because instead of like trusting something false, like the lie, the false promise, the false light, it was all done in the dark. Rocks and boulders and this massive hill and mud. Oh, it was wonderful. I was so pleased with him. I thought it was amazing. You know, I thought it was really cool. You know, it's hard to trust and walk in what you think's the dark if you're not used to it and you can't see. But I was just really chuffed, because that's like casting aside the false light and the lies and trusting in the truth, in the true light. Look at the light of Christ. The picture's right behind me. So yeah, that was really amazing. But then on the other hand, I also learned like earlier this week that for doing things like what I do down at the park, or it's at Myrtle Park when I was filming all the energy spirals and stuff like that, you can't take people on those kind of journeys with you if they haven't got the spiritual protection within. You can't take like what's the word? I was going to say passengers. I don't mean passengers. Spectators. You can't take spectators with you. This isn't a world that I could share with just, you know, anyone. If it's someone that hasn't got the same level of spiritual defense in place and a relationship with Jesus in place to fall back on and to know what to do, and you have to have your senses fully flowing. And so when things, you see, when I'm there on my own and I'm filming or filming, or I'm walking around looking, it's like feels organic, knowing when to move and when it's okay to stand and chat for a while, and then when to move because it's not cool to still be hanging around there. And also, I never have torches with me, apart from really recently, where I have filmed with torches, but I don't like it. I had done it because I wanted to film at night. But I'll tell you why I don't like doing stuff in the dark with torches on me, because it alerts exactly where you are the whole time, isn't it? It's like having a calling card saying, hello, I'm just here. Whereas if you can see in the dark anyhow, and like I was saying, this false light, it dazzles us. I feel like it's so ironic that I'm sat here with the lamp on and that I filmed with torchlight. But you know, needs must. And it's kind of like, well, what do I do? What do I do if I want to film in the dark? I've got to put the light on. But I don't like having them on. And I have them off as much as possible. And, you know, we have to live in the world, don't we? Unfortunately, it's set up so we've got this false light system everywhere in our houses, in our cars, street lamps, everywhere. And that's just the most blatant example I can give you, really, isn't it? Of the false light rather than the true light. And anyhow, on that note, I'm going to wrap this up because that was already all that I really had to say. And my cat keeps getting my attention because she's like lying on the bed, like washing and stuff, just looking really, really, really cute. But that's why I keep looking over there. It's been all stormy again today. Last night it was a proper storm. I fell asleep really early. And I always sleep with my windows open if I can. I love it. I love being like in bed, and especially when you can have both windows open. I can't do that if it's really windy. Last night I only had one window open, and that's what woke me up. The wind was blowing in and the window was like going like that because of the Velux windows. Anyhow, so I had to reluctantly, I was so annoyed because it was so hot, I was so warm, and I don't really have the heating on very often. I have buckled today and put the heating on because I was so cold, but that was about half an hour ago, and now I'm boiling and the windows are closed, so I feel like I'm being stifled. If I had all the money I could have like to survive without like being just a little, if I had more money so I was a little bit above just surviving. Alright, if I wasn't on the breadline the whole time, in an ideal world in the wintertime, I'd have some heat on more than what I do, but always have the windows open. I think it's like the only way you could really survive it, because like normally I have my fire on, but I need to get some work done on it. It needs some welding so that it sucks like the air properly. But normally I'd be sat like all snuggled up in the living room in the wintertime with the fire lit and everything, with logs crackling away. But there's two reasons why that hasn't happened. One, because I've got my roof thing going on, which I need to get fixed. And the second one being my computer's permanently tethered at the moment. So I wouldn't be on the line all the time anyhow, just being outstairs. But anyway, if I uploaded videos and stuff, it'd be a bit of a hassle. I'd have to keep walking up 2 flights of steps to check on them. That would keep me fit, wouldn't it? Anyway, I'm just babbling now, so good to go. But thank you for watching. And yeah, it's 16:10 on Saturday, the 5th of the 12th, 2015. A good weekend. Bye.